Okay, welcome back, everyone. I am Tiffany Joseph, broker and real estate professional of Joseph Realty Group. And today, this is welcome to my part two series from renter to homeowners, where I am walking through the step-by-step process of home ownership because it is a process. And so today we are on our part two series, which is to talk about ways to increase your credit score. If you tuned in or if you're watching this as a replay, I would suggest to watch my part one series, which was talking about the loan process. And in discussion with the loan process, the lender that we had on, we spent a lot of time talking about credit and how credit is one of the key driving factors in getting that loan approved so that you can purchase a home. And many people had so many questions about how to increase their credit score, which is why I said, you know what, for this part two series, let's dig a little bit deeper into why credit's important and ways that you can improve your credit score. And I wanted to bring in a credit expert. And so today I would love to welcome Miss Sakia McLean. She is a credit coach, and I would like for you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Speak Sakia. I am a credit coach based in South Florida. And what I do is help women recover from their credit mistakes, educate women on how to improve your credit. And I do that through one on one coaching, webinars, and group coaching as well.
That is awesome, Sakia. So I'm going to jump right into it. For those of you who are definitely joining us in the directly in the Zoom, if you would love to ask questions, if you can ask questions in the Q&A tab, and then if you just want to chat or with each other or with us, you can do that in the chat session. But just so that we can monitor the questions, if you could keep the questions in there. So I am going to jump right into it. So, there's so much on social media, on YouTube, Google, everything talking about credit, right? Or just a way that people can purchase homes and purchase cars or just do a lot of things. But from your experience, why do you think that credit is important?
I think credit is important because for most of us, we have goals of elevating and doing more, wanting to be homeowners, wanting to build wealth. And in order to do those things, unless you swimming in cash, you need a way to prove to lenders that you are capable of handling that type of financial responsibility. So, for example, a lot of people use cash. I mean, I was taught, and a lot of us were taught, that credit is a bad thing and that credit equals debt. But credit is not debt. Credit is actually leverage if it's used properly. And the best way to create that leverage is to have a healthy credit report. So, and you can't do that by paying cash, because when you pay cash, it doesn't leave a trail. Anything that, and when you want to establish credit, it's really like a black and white financial report card. And that your grades on your report card, which means your credit score, is going to determine whether or not you are worthy of large purchases that lead to wealth and all the things that we want, that we don't want to, just pay cash for.
So you hit on some really good points, because I look at, credit the same way. It's like an adult report card, right? It tells, it's proof in how you can manage your responsibilities, right? And so even I get a lot of people who are renters, and even when you're trying to rent nowadays, the credit score requirements that they ask for you to rent out their property is higher than what you can get. And I don't think that people really understand that why credit is so important, and that to get to do anything, credit is that piece of it. But one thing you kind of hit on when you started talking about that is that a lot of times, probably in our community, we looked at credit as debt, right? Or credit as something bad. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, right? Like, why do you think in our communities that that is seen as, credit is a bad thing?
It's simple. It's really the lack of education. It's really the lack of education. We weren't taught, these conversations weren't had when we were younger. No one sat down and said, this is what you should do with money. This is what you should do with credit. This is why you need credit. I in my From my experience, a lot of the people that I see on a regular basis and have these conversations with, they are just simply uneducated. It's
Mhm.
really a lack of education. We we may have qualified for a credit card with the $2,000 limit and thought that we had $2,000. No, it's not $2,000. It's a credit card with the $2,000 limit. And yeah, you shouldn't spend what you can't afford to pay back. But we weren't taught that. We weren't taught how to use it as leverage. So, I mean, that's the main reason why I transitioned from credit repair to credit coaching, because without the education, without the knowledge of how to use it properly, you fall into debt. You will run into debt. You will run into charge-offs because you've gone and spent $2,000 on this credit card and you really can't afford to pay it back. It's just a huge misconception in our community that, hey, if you get a credit, stay away from them credit cards. Them credit cards ain't no good for you. Them credit cards you. I feel like I got an old uncle in my head telling me that. You know what I mean? It's it's
Yes,
really a
yes.
misconception versus, hey, you should use your credit card instead of your debit card, pay it off in full at the end of the month, but only spend what you have in your checking account so that you can pay it in full.
Yeah.
We weren't taught how to use it for our benefit. We just were given a credit card and expected to know what to do with it. And then when one person messed it up, oh, spread the word, baby. Don't get them credit cards. Them credit cards ain't no good for you. Them credit cards, the devil, you know.
Yes, 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 yes. Or unfortunately, sometimes, a family member went and opened up something in your name. So even by the time you're 18, it was like you already had some
Yes,
bad credit.
mama done messed up her name, and so now she need to use mine, and now I can't get anything. And I, as an adult, I walk in to anywhere and try to get some type of credit, and it's like, oh no, you have this delinquent on your account. It's almost like we just don't know better. We
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't know better.
Yeah. And that's exactly why I started this series to talk about the home buying process, because that's the thing. I think people just don't know. And when you don't know, you can't react, you can't improve. And so my hope is, even if someone just took time and watched these over, months, is just to hopefully just help educate them. So I want to jump right into Sakia. First, so there's kind of two people, right? Those who don't even have credit. And then there are those who have credit and they want to try to get to that 700 club, right? They want to try to get that score up. Let's give some tips to the people who don't have any credit. If someone is coming to you who's, doesn't have any credit because they were told credit is bad. So they're like, yeah, I don't own anything in my name, but they trying to go and get some leverage to do something. What advice or what tips would you give that new person to get started?
Well, for those people who don't have any credit, there are a lot of companies where you can go and get secured credit. And secured credit means that you have to put up your cash in order to secure the line of credit. So whether it be a secured credit card or a secured loan, you need to you're going to need to put up your cash so that you're basically paying someone to report to the credit bureaus, because you need to start developing a report card. You need to start showing up in the credit world. And if you don't have anything, there's a saying that bad credit, that no credit is worse than bad credit.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have any credit, No one knows what you can handle. So putting forth your cash, it means that the company, the bank, is assuming less risk because it's your cash. Hey, if she don't pay it, I got the money already, and we'll just use it to collect. Um, but you can get a secured credit card, or you can get a secured loan, and you're basically paying these companies to report to the credit bureau. After some time, you'll be able to recover those funds. You'll be able to upgrade to regular credit if you need. But if you don't have any credit, you got to find a way to show up in the credit world, and secured credit is the way to do that.
What I really like about a secured credit card, it also helps you kind of, especially if you don't have self-control, it gives you a starting point to establish how to budget, how to manage, right? So if you know you only have $200 and you put that 200, then that's kind of helping you see, because now you like, man, that $200 went fast, right? Because that's all you put on that card. So I think it helps you see how, if you go and get an unsecured credit card and your credit limit's even higher, to hopefully kind of help you manage through that. So I really like that suggestion about secured credit card being, but go ahead.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because here is the thing about so of the two, there's a secured credit card and there's a secured loan, right? If you don't have what I teach a whole class on secured credit cards, because some people get a secured credit card and think that just because they have a secured credit card, they in there. But you can actually hurt yourself with a secured credit card if you don't use it properly.
Oh,
I teach a perfect formula of how to build your credit with a secure card. And that is because you can't just, it's a secure credit card is just like a credit card. The credit algorithm, the scoring system that determines your credit score, FICO 8, FICO 9, FICO 10, whatever. It doesn't know that your card is secure. So you have to use it like a real credit card. You can't use it like a checking account. You can't, because you could hurt yourself. You max out a secure credit card, what you think you're going to do to your credit score? Push it right over a cliff. You make a late payment on a secure credit card. Guess what you're going to do to your credit score? Push it right over a cliff. So, of the two, I like a secured loan
okay.
more, because a secured loan, it's one payment. You're gonna get them $1,000, and every month you're gonna pay $150 until you pay it off, or you're gonna pay $100 or whatever. You have a set amount. You don't really have room to, it's not revolving. It's a loan, right? And so just be careful. I do teach a class on how to build credit, the perfect formula to build credit with a secured credit card. And that's on my website at www.speaksakia.com. I know we ain't get there yet. I might be
That's
jumping.
okay.
But I
Jump.
get
You can put it in. When this gets edited, you got some clips in there.
it. But yeah,
So
it's really important to understand that just because you have a secure credit card doesn't mean that, okay, I'm in there, I'm on my way. You still have to manage it properly. It's not about obtaining it, it's about maintaining it. It's not just about when you get it, it's about what you do once you have it. How are you going to maintain it? Your credit report is not about the credit that you have, it's about the credit that you maintain. What have you done over time? What does your history look like? How long have you had credit? How are you paying your bills over time? How are you spending over time? How are you applying over time? All of that goes into account when it comes to healthy credit. So don't think just because you got approved for a little $250 secure credit card, baby, that you're going to get approved for a house. They don't work like that. It don't work like that.
so explain a little bit, because you talked about secured credit card, and which is considered revolving credit, and a secured loan is considered an installment, right? And they show up on your credit report two different ways. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And do they have different weights? Like, are they evaluated differently?
Well, there are three different type of accounts that will show up on your credit report, and most of us have two, and we're all aiming for the third one. So the first type of account is installment. That's a loan. That's a student loan. That's an auto loan. That's a personal loan, secured loan. Those are loans. That means we started with one large dollar amount, whether it's $1,000 or $10,000. Sometimes y'all got $350,000 student loans, but that ain't my business. Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
so you you have your loans where you start with a large dollar amount and you make the same payment every month. That is an installment loan. That's one type of account that'll show up on your credit report. The other type of account that will show up on your credit report is a revolving account. That is your credit cards, your Macy's, your JC Penney's, your Bath and Body Works, your Pink, your Victoria's Secret. We don't want to encourage all them store cards, but I know I'm on that. I've seen your credit report, sis. All right. So those are your credit cards are the ones that you can have a dollar limit, but you only make payments on what you spend. And so you got installment loans, you have revolving, and the third type of account is real estate. That's where all of us are aiming to go. We all want to purchase a home. Though when you get that real estate, that's going to get you over, in the 800 club. Okay. But those are the three type of accounts, and they're not necessarily weighed differently. It's all about the maintenance of those accounts. So some of you have student loan accounts and you like, man, forget them doggone student loans. I ain't paying them. Baby, you ain't got to pay them. You need to know two things about them student loans, though. You need to call and make sure that your status is always up to date so that your payments always show positive, because it affects your payment history if you're late. And then the second thing you need to know is that when you go to purchase a home, that student loan, 1% of the total amount of the loan will be considered towards your debt. So
1% of the total amount. So question on the loan. So great. Three types: revolving, installment, and then real estate, right? And installment is where student loans fall in.
Correct.
Right? So so right now, a lot of people with their student loans are in forbearance, right? So we know with COVID situation, they said, hey, you still don't got to make that payment. I know when I got that notice, I was like, thank you. Like, I ain't rushing to pay y'all. So let's keep that forbearance, right? So you're still accumulating interest, but you're not required to make the payment. So if someone wanted to go and, let's say, purchase real estate right now and they're not paying on their student loan, how does that impact their score? What does that look like?
Beautiful question you have there, Tiffany. Beautiful question. So I'm going to give you two scenarios, okay? Really the main scenario, we can figure it out from there. So I had a client, he came in, he wanted a loan, but he had his student loans on forbearance, like, he's not deferment. 0 monthly payment, and that's how it's reporting on his credit report. Well, when underwriting got to his credit profile and saw, well, his student loans were $350,000 in real life, and when underwriting got to his credit report, they considered 1% of his total student loans. So instead, even though he's paying $0 a month, he's still obligated to pay those student loans back, like legally, right? Like, it's on your credit report, so you're gonna have to pay it back. So we won't consider the whole $350,000, but we're gonna consider 1%. That's $3,500 a month. Okay, that killed his debt to income ratio. It really weighed on his debt to income ratio. So I said, hey, Mr. Client, here is what I recommend you do. I recommend that you call the student loan company and say, I can only afford to pay $100 a month. That way, and then let's wait a few months so that it updates on your credit report, because student loans update every 3 months. Let's wait till it updates on your credit report, and then it'll show that your monthly requirement, even though your balance is $350,000, your monthly obligation is only $100. That levels out his debt to income ratio. Girl, that is info. That is tea. Do you hear what
that is tea. So let me just make sure I have it clarified. If I interpret what the tea you just dropped on us, is that if you are in deferred right now or forbearance, if you're not making payments on your student loans and it is indicated right now that your monthly payment is zero and you are looking to get some type of loan, it is better to call them and work out a payment arrangement, right? There's, I think, income based, there's a bunch of different ones.
It only if it depends on the amount of your student
I
loan.
see.
So
Okay.
Let me say that, because his was so high, 350,000, 1% of that is a lot higher than 10,000. If it's 10,000, 1% is only $100. But if it's 350,000, so just bear that in mind. Understand that no matter what your dollar amount is, when you go to a lender, most lenders, now I ain't no broker, I don't know, but in the banks, they're going to consider 1% of your total student loan debt. So I'm all for the $0 a month, but keep in mind that it's going to affect your debt to income ratio. And when you want to purchase a home, your debt to income ratio really is going to determine whether or not you are qualified for that mortgage that you are trying to get. It's going to make a huge difference.
Because that 1% off the total is calculated as a monthly payment.
Absolutely. That's
okay. Okay. So I think that was great information. Yeah. So if we recap, we talked about getting a secured credit card or a secured loan, which secured loan is better. We've talked about with student loans, ways to, because that's a big installment that is on your credit. I want to go back a minute to credit cards, secured or unsecured. So I think one of the things you pointed out when we were talking about the credit card piece was that if your credit limit, secured or unsecured, is 200, you shouldn't go and spend $200 on it. From my understanding, there's a utilization percentage that you should probably be in. Can you talk a little bit about that, how it is from a credit card standpoint and just overall with all of your credit, all of your debt?
So, utilization is the second most important factor of your overall credit score. And when it comes to the magic number is 30%, that you should stay under 30%. Anytime you go over 30%, you look you're looking riskier, because to the banks, to the lenders, it looks like, or to the credit algorithm, right? It looks like you are depending on your credit cards. So that's why when you are using your credit card, you only going to be required to pay $25 a month on whatever your bill is. Like, it could be $1,000 and you probably only got to pay $25 a month. But the overall balance of it is really what's going to make or break your score, So you shouldn't spend more than what you can afford to pay in full, or at least pay under 30%. Listen, I've seen so many instances where people run up their credit cards because they don't understand. And then there are instances where people run up their credit cards because they don't have a choice. If you don't have a choice, listen, things happen. If you don't understand, that's cool too. You ain't know then, but you know now. Let's just do better. Okay. So you wanna make sure that your balances are always under 30%, but keep them as close to zero as possible. And if you are in a situation where right now you need to pay down some existing credit card debt, then I recommend that you budget out your money, line up your, girl, I can go on for days.
Yes.
You need to come up with a plan and a strategy to reduce that debt. And that is, I also coach on that as well. I also teach on that as well. But you need to come up with a strategy to reduce your debt, because you can't buy you can't buy a house with debt. And you also you don't want to make a purchase. Let's say you got approved with debt. You don't really want to go into a house with debt, because you're going to need as much liquid cash. Liquid cash is money that you can touch, money that you can go into the bank and grab. A credit card is not liquid cash. That's not liquid cash. That's credit. You want to be able to have savings in the bank. You want to start saving as much as you can. And if you don't have savings, please don't be discouraged by that, but make a focus to start saving money. Even if it's $5, $10, I don't care what it looks like. Make a focus to start saving your money, because you want to go into a home with enough money to make the down payment comfortably, whether it's required or not. And then outside of that, you still want to have enough money to, decorate your home, be able to enjoy the process and not be worried about, oh, I can't do it this week, because you understand what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to be poorhouse.
Yeah. That's what you say, poorhouse?
Yeah, but I think I said the term wrong. But house poor. That's the right way. House poor.
Either way, look, it caught my attention. I was like, oh, wait, what? Okay.
Well, you in the poorhouse because you're house poor. So there you go.
One of the 2 or 3. But anyway, you don't want to go into the home buying process waiting and being check to check. You want to go into it comfortably. It should be a beautiful experience for you. It should not be something that you're rushing because your neighbor did it, because your auntie did it, because your cousin did it. This is all a journey. It's all a process. I am really, really big on process. I am huge on process. I know that there are a lot of tricks and hacks that are in the social media world, and some of those things work, but some of those things don't. There is no black and white to this credit thing. It's really the algorithm and what the expectations are black and white, but your credit report is not going to look like your sister's credit report.
Yeah.
It's not going to look like your neighbor's credit report. Your journey belongs to you. It belongs to you. It belongs to you. So you have to really it can be intimidating when you don't know, when you don't understand, when you don't know where to start. It can be intimidating, but you have people like Tiffany who takes time out of her busy schedule to have these webinars and host these classes and make it available for you to educate yourself, and have people like me. I'm a credit coach. This is what I do. I don't repair credit anymore, because repair credit is like lipstick on a pig. It's a band-aid over a bleeding wound. It's not going to help anything by repairing credit. Your power, your approval is going to be in the education, in your knowledge. So for everybody who is watching this, for everybody who will catch the replay, I want to strongly encourage you, even if it's 10-15 minutes a day, to take time and educate yourself. Start doing some research. Pay attention to your numbers specifically. What is it that I need to do so that I can get approved, so that I can buy my home, so that I can get them keys and pull up in the driveway? Oh my gosh. Okay, Tiffany, I go on rant sometimes.
No, you were going. I have a couple questions just to back up. On the credit card utilization. When you say your balance should be under 30%, if you have more than one credit card, should each card be under 30%? Or let's say you, in total, all of those should be under when you total up everything.
Okay, so overall, your credit score is going to be based on your overall utilization, right? But sometimes depending on what you're applying for, it will be looked at. So you may have $10,000 in available credit, right? 10 credit cards, they all $1,000 a piece, but you have one card that is at $900. It's going to raise a red flag, because that is an account where that individual utilization is at 90%. So, I mean, will it tank your credit score? Probably not, because you have more utilization overall, but you still want to be careful. And I mean, again, sometimes people have situations and, hey, I had to, but
yeah.
just as like a little FYI, it can be a red flag. A mortgage lender may look at it and say, hey, what's going on with this account? Or what are your plans for it? Do you think you'll be able to pay it off? So, but overall, it is your overall credit portfolio utilization that should be under 30%.
So we talked about, if you're new to establishing credit, secured credit as well as a secured loan. Now, let's say you open up one and now you've gotten yourself in a good situation and now you're starting to get offers for unsecured cards. Do you have any recommendations on the number of credit cards someone should have? I don't know if that's an important, factor just in general for your credit health.
Well, I'll tell you, you don't need a lot. My experience over time has taught me that two is enough.
Mm.
Two is enough. One for rewards that you use like a debit card where you get cash back rewards, but
Yeah.
only if you were disciplined, please. Only if you were disciplined. Don't you go get no rewards without auto pay. The only way you can get a rewards card is if you set it up for auto pay balance in full, because that'll scare the crap out of you, right? Like, oh, I know at the end of the month whatever I put on this card gonna come out completely.
Yes.
That's a whole nother talk show, but one for rewards and then one for emergencies, one with a larger balance on it and a lower interest rate, so that if you do have an emergency and you do need to put a large dollar amount on a card, you will have the option. You don't need a bunch of credit cards, but sometimes and I'm guilty, y'all. I'm just gonna tell you, okay? I'm guilty. I'm paying off these cards right now, Lord Jesus. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the debt came from. I don't know. But the important thing is I got a plan. Okay. I paid
That
off
is true.
5 credit cards in the first quarter of 2021.
Awesome. That is awesome. But you know what I think it shows is we're all human. You are an expert in this, and you said, hey, I know I spent a little more holidays, birthdays, and that's the thing with credit, it creeps up on you.
Mm-hmm.
And you like, man, did I really spend all of that? Mm-hmm. And you like, oh yes.
Braces on one, and I was thinking, how did this balance get so high? And I'm like, them got darn braces. I should have just anyway. So yes.
Okay. So two cards is probably the best. Definitely a loan standpoint. If you do the secured loan just as establishing that should be it. Otherwise, you shouldn't be taking out loans unless it's a student loan and you have to, or to get that or a real estate loan.
Or a car payment. Car payments is
let's talk about that.
I like car payments, but listen, I see some car payments with 18% interest rate and it make my stomach turn. You understand? Car payments you have to be careful with, because when you are new into the credit world, you may end up with a higher interest rate unless you have a co-signer. Not a lot of people are willing to co-sign in 2021. I am a lot of people. A lot of people is me. Okay, I ain't co-signing for Nathan. However, if you happen to get a car loan, again, things happen. If you happen to get a car loan, make sure you making that payment on time every month. If you have a car loan with high interest, split up your payments. Pay half every time you get paid. I don't care if you get paid 3 times a week, pay half of whatever your car payment is to reduce the amount of interest that you will pay. But a car loan is one of those loans that I think it's a good loan, because listen, don't nobody want to be riding around in no hoopty on the side of the road trying to buy a car cash. Let me go ahead and get something that I'm comfortable in, that I know is going to be safe and get me and my children from where we need to go to where we need to go, and a little bit further than that. Okay. So I like car loans, but only if only when used properly. I mean, but if that's what you got to do, if you got to get a car loan with a high interest rate, do it, but make sure you make that payment on time. Make sure you being smart about it, and sometimes you can get that loan refinanced to get that interest rate lower. But installment loans would be a student loan or car loan. If you have nothing and maybe you already got a car, a secure loan would be good.
Yeah. So even with that car, just my little point is that make sure it's something you can afford, because even if you have that car loan and then you trying to go and get real estate, that's still factoring into your debt. So if you making $300 car loan payment, 3+, then that's still going to be factored into how much you can really afford to purchase a home with.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. So that's true. Stay within your budget, okay?
Exactly. So
Ain't gonna get no Range Rover sugar. You got to go ahead and get you a Toyota Corolla or a Nissan Sentra, and they're real cute now. They done made
they
them.
are. And yes, and that should be fine. Don't be, again, don't try to get the Teslas and the Porsche and all of that, especially if you still renting. That should not be parked up in the landlord's property.
Oh gosh, it's the
And that kills me.
I see Benz's pulling up in a apartment complex. What are we doing? What's
Yes.
happening here?
Yes.
But some
Yes.
people don't have, maybe some people don't have the desire to be a homeowner. Maybe they want credit so that they can go and pay a $600-700 car payment.
That is
All
true. That is true.
right.
Okay. So I want to make, so we talked about 2 credit cards, secured credit cards, and loans. Now, let's say you already have credit and your credit is a 580 and you are looking to purchase a home, and we need to get you in that 620 plus range so that you can qualify for a mortgage loan. Now, on the internet, even from myself, I've seen, on YouTube, 4 ways or 3 ways that you can improve that credit score. And, I'll see on there dispute errors, become an authorized user if someone already has good credit score and they will add you to their credit. Or, of course, I do see the secured credit. But you pointed out a little earlier about credit. You no longer do credit repair because it's a band-aid, and you are about the credit process. So if you could talk a little bit of, if, for those listening in who are really just trying to improve their credit score so that their goal now is to get that real estate, but they need that credit score up. What process would you tell them to take?
Well, the first thing is, before you can get to where you're going, you have to know where you are. So you should always be monitoring your credit. You should always know where you stand. And that knowing where you stand is a powerful position, because now you know what direction you need to go. Yes, you can be added as an authorized user to someone's credit card, right? Who has a great credit, but that ain't gonna get you approved for no homeowner. That ain't gonna get you approved for no mortgage if you got 20 items in collections on your credit report. That's not the solution. And that's what I mean by, what may work for one person may not work for the other. So you have to know where you stand. What does your payment history look like? Your payment history is the most important thing on your credit score. So the first thing you need to do is pull your credit report. Y'all write this down now, okay? Write this down because this is going to be tea. Please hold. You want to pull your credit report, right? You want to you want to find the accounts that are reporting to the credit bureaus. What is showing up in a credit card form, in an installment form? What is showing up? Then look at your payment history. That's the most important part of your credit report. Are you paying those bills on time? Do you got red marks all over the place, or is it green? If you have negative payment history, the first thing you need to do, baby, is start paying your bills on time. And a way to do that is set your bills up on auto pay. And a lot of people, oh, I don't trust them. I'ma just pay it myself. But what happened when it's time to pay? You get your check in your bank account, you get your direct deposit from your job, right? And then you got to stop by the Ross to pick something up, and then you spend your bill money, and then your payment late. It's not that you don't have the money, it's just that you're not disciplined. You have to incorporate a level of discipline so that you can pay your bills on time. And if auto pay is that level of discipline, set it up on auto pay. You want a house or you want to look cute? You know what I'm saying? You want a house or what do you want to do, right? If you're short on money at the end of the month, or when it's time for you to pay your bills, find a hustle. You're gifted, you're breathing. Jesus gave you a gift. You're gonna have to figure out what that gift is and find out how to monetize it. Okay, you gotta go Uber, you gotta go DoorDash. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Who gonna judge you? You being lazy? You want to sleep or you want a house? Which one? So you gotta make sure that your bills are being paid on time. That's most important. Then you want to look at your other accounts, maybe your credit cards. Is it maxed out? Do you need to pay down your debt? You want to look at your collection accounts. Do you have items that are in collections? Now you hear people say, you mentioned, Tiffany, people say dispute negative items or dispute errors that are on your credit report. It's more to that. It sounds cute on paper, baby, but it's more to that. And that is also something that I teach in my group coaching. I have a group of about 21 women right now, and I'm teaching them all how to remove collection items from their credit report. I have some ladies who are now in the 700 club, ladies who have started off with low credit score. I have one lady, credit score just jumped like 70 points. Listen, it's going down over there, okay? In Mom's Academy. That's the name of my group.
Nice.
So the private group is on Instagram. I taught a webinar on how to remove collection items from your credit report. But those are things that you can do. Now, being an authorized user will raise your score, but having a high credit score is not going to get you approved for a house. You have to have a healthy credit report. And so you have to look at all of the factors. That's what's really going to get you approved. You have to look at all of the factors.
When you said about your group, I just want to make sure we capture it. Your private group is on Facebook, correct?
Instagram.
Oh, it is on Instagram.
It's on Instagram. My private group is on Instagram. I'm deciding on whether or not I want to incorporate it on Facebook.
Okay.
But most of my tribe is on Instagram.
Got it. Okay.
And, so everyone who purchased the webinar replay, so I have I had a group of women who were in the actual live webinar, and then I have women who have purchased the replay, and I've allowed them to come into the group, and I'm coaching them. They asking me questions. They have the templates. They have everything they need. I am giving the blueprint. I repaired credit for 3 years, so I know what it takes. A lot of people think that they need to hire a credit repair company because there's some magic button that's being pushed, and that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah. So when you talk about paying your bills on time, if let's say you do pay them on, you get into that habit, how soon would that be reflected on your credit report?
Well, it's going to update every 30 days. But in order for a lender to feel comfortable, let's say you have a late payment. Let's say you have 3 late payments in a row, right? And you say, okay, I'm going to get my stuff together. I'm going to set up this auto pay. And now I'm paying my bills on time. I'm now paying this account on time. You need to make that payment on time for about 1.5 to 2 years.
Whoa. So it is a process.
It is a process. And it's not to say that you will get declined if you are approved. Let's say you make your payments on time for a year and you are approved. You're going to get a higher interest rate. And what I want you all to understand is interest rates change the game. Interest rates is how the banks make money. You see it with your credit cards. You have a bill that you only spent $400, but once the interest gets added onto it, it's like $600, $800. Even on your car loans, your interest rates is where they make their money. So the more negative that your credit report looks, or the red flags that show up on your credit, you appear to be high risk to the lenders. And the higher the risk, the higher your interest rate. It's going to cost you some money. So, I mean, listen, don't be discouraged by hearing the timeline of 2 years, because guess what you still need to do in the meantime? You still need to save money. You still need to get rid of the negative things that are on your credit report. You still need to build. The time fly. Think about how long you wanted to be a homeowner. And here we are today. It's probably been a year or two, right? And here we are today. That time is going to go by like nothing. So, it does take, for someone to feel comfortable, it takes 2 years of on-time payment history. That payment history is the most important part of your credit score. Is that payment history.
So understanding their credit, paying them on time, I would say are the 2 things that you kind of called out as key takeaways. So in understanding, you said pull your credit report, right? I know there are free services that allow you to pull your credit report on an annual basis, but how often should someone be monitoring their credit report?
All the time. You need to watch it like you watch your bank account. And if you ain't watching your bank account all the time, you need to watch that too. All the time. Because here's the thing about credit. It doesn't, credit never stays the same. Credit is constantly changing. Credit updates every 30 days. But you may have an account with Capital One and they may report on the 15th. And then you have an
Mm-hmm.
account with, I don't know, Bank of America, and they update on the 20th. So it's constantly changing. The accounts that are on your credit report are updated every 30 days, but it's not always the first of the month. It's not always the
Mm.
15th of the month. So you need to constantly monitor your credit.
Wow. Yeah, that's I'm taking notes. So that's important. Um, what are some apps or how would you recommend people to monitor their credit?
Okay, so I love Credit Karma.
Mm-hmm.
Credit Karma is a free app. It only shows two of the three, but it is a great teaching tool, and that is why I love it so much. I love it because it can show you, it updates every 7 days and kind of gives you an idea of what's going on with your credit. Also, if someone applies for credit, or someone pulls your credit, you'll know about it. Credit Karma
Mm-hmm.
notifies you. There are so many there's so many different ways to monitor your credit, but Credit Karma is just like, it's one of my favorites. Also, they only report TransUnion and Equifax. So Experian has their own app as well. I would recommend that you download Experian. But when you are in the process of really wanting to see the details of your credit report, really wanting to see what's going on, where you stand, and what you need to improve, I would recommend going to annualcreditreport.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to type it in the chat. Annualcreditreport.com. Now, listen, when you go to type in annual credit report, sometimes um, you will see free annual credit report. Uh, there are a lot of different websites that may come up, but annualcreditreport.com is the legit one. That's the one
Oh,
that if you apply for something and you get denied, annual credit report is the website and the contact information that comes on that credit on for you to pull your credit. Also, you can get your report for free every 7 days during the pandemic with annual
oh,
credit report versus once a year. And then also, when you pull your credit reports, I recommend that you download them digitally. Don't go wasting Jesus trees printing out all this stuff. You
but
can
save it.
save it to your desktop. Try to do it from a desktop and not a phone. You can use a tablet, an iPad, or a laptop, or a desktop. Try not to do it from your phone because it get confusing. But annualcreditreport.com is what I always recommend my clients use when you're ready to like really see what's going on right before you go to apply for a home for their large purchases. Annualcreditreport.com.
So to monitor on just an everyday basis, it's Credit Karma or Experian apps, just so you know, hey, this is what's going on, right? You can be notified if something's going on, but then when you're ready, you go to creditreport.com.
Mhm.
So go
Go ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say that I have a relationship with a credit monitoring service, Identity IQ. That is more of the people who are more familiar and want to see it's a way more advanced system. But for beginners, Credit Karma and Experian, but Identity IQ shows you your scores and it shows you all three of your reports on one platform, but it is a paid service. But I do recommend that for those who are, over Credit Karma. Some,
Okay.
yeah.
So just talk a little bit, because I know a lot of times on Credit Karma and Experian, they'll see their credit score and it'll be higher than what it is when they've actually gone to a lender or to the car dealership. Talk a little bit about those differences.
Very glad you mentioned that because Credit Karma is known for reporting false scores. And it's not that it's false, it's just that there are a lot of different formulas for your credit score. So when you are applying for a credit card, your score is not going to be the same as when you're applying for a vehicle. It's just not, it's different formulas. There's a FICO 8, FICO 9, FICO 10, Vantage. There are a lot of different formulas for the credit score. But here is what I tell everyone who has an issue with the way Credit Karma reports their scores. Your score don't matter anyway. Mm. Not at the beginning. Your score doesn't matter. Your score is not going to matter. The health of your credit is going to matter. And once you incorporate all the things that we have talked about, you're going to have a good credit score. So don't really focus so much on the score. It's encouraging. It's great. You will see increases that Credit Karma reports, but your score is not the focus. The health and the makeup of your entire credit profile is what's important.
So, Sakia, as we're coming to wrap up our discussion, which we can continue to go on and on, but I think we all, after a while, when you watch replays, you like, I can't take this anymore, right? If you had to summarize for those wanting to improve their credit score, if you had to give them 5 things that they should do, and it's things that you've said throughout our discussion, but just so at the end they weren't writing it down, then they can just recap at the end, what would those tips be?
The first thing is pulling your credit reports, reviewing it in detail to know where you need to improve, what you are missing. Make sure that you are making your payments on time. Make sure you're making your payments on time. Make sure you're making your payments on time. I really can't say it enough, because a late payment will drop your credit over 100 points, and it can be, it's heart wrenching. Okay, so you want to monitor your credit reports on a regular basis as well. And you want to look at what's negative on your credit report and offset that negative. If it's your payment history, make sure you set up auto pay to improve your payment history. If it's collections, make sure you take the steps. Purchase that credit collection removal replay. Make sure you take the steps in removing the collection items from your credit reports. Not always do you owe collections, even though they're reporting on your credit report. Anyway, so those are the things that I would definitely say. And then start to rebuild. You got to focus on what you can do going forward, right? So whatever is there, as far as like your payment history and stuff like that, you're not going to be able to, you may or may not be able to change that, but you really want to focus on implementing more positive financial behaviors. Monitor your money. If you have debt, if you have credit cards that have high balances, that is hurting your credit score. Come up with a budget, come up with a plan that can help you reduce that debt. So yeah.
So you have shared a wealth of knowledge. I think what I really like about you is your approach to helping people with their credit. So as we close out, if you could share how people can reach out to you if they're looking to educate themselves more about credit.
Okay, you can find me on every platform you can think of. Okay. Speak Sakia, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, at Speak Sakia. Okay. Also, if you want to pick my brain, if you want help rebuilding your credit, if you want a full detailed credit audit and strategy to improve your credit, you can visit my website, www.speaksakia.com. Also on my website, you will find a lot of things that we discussed tonight. You will find the perfect formula of how to build your credit with a secure credit card. You will also find the collection removal replay, where I go into detail on a 2-hour webinar about how to remove the collection accounts. That comes with the membership to the private Instagram group that I was speaking of earlier. If you don't want to go that far, if you feel like all you need is the basic information, if you feel savvy, I also have the ebook of just the webinar presentation and all of the templates that you need to start the removal process of collection items on your credit report. If you have a general question and maybe you're not sure if I can help you, but you want to find out before you book with me, I am very approachable if you haven't been able to tell already. And so you can message me on any of the platforms I mentioned. I spend a lot of my time on Instagram, but I'm also on Facebook daily as well. And yeah, www.speaksakia.com is my website again. Speak like talk, SAKIA.com.
Awesome. So I want to just close out and thank you for those who have actually joined us live for part 2 of the web series titled From Renter to Homeowner. I want to thank you for joining us. And again, as I've shared, this is a process. Home ownership is a process. Credit building is a process. There is nothing overnight about anything. If you want something, you got to work hard to achieve it. And so, oh yes, and before we conclude, sorry, if there are any questions from anyone who is live or leaving through Facebook, we can answer those questions. And even when we end the Facebook Live, anyone who's joined us, we can still take questions. But what I was saying is that I just want to make sure that the whole point of this is to educate people, not trying to push anyone to do anything, but just the more you know, the better you can do. And so hopefully you're finding the part 2 series as informative as the part 1. And then next month we will have part 3. So stay tuned. If you are looking to reach out to me, just understanding how you can grow in real estate, whether it's for your first time home or you're considering real estate as for passive income as an investment or for Airbnb or, whatever it is, if you're just wanting to pick your brain about where you are, feel free to contact me. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and you can reach me as well. My website you can reach me at is www.josephrealtygroup, and those are the names that I am listed on Facebook, and then on Instagram it's realtor_JRG. So again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us, and you have a good night.